Welcome, Scott. My name is Shauna Watts, and I am so excited to be able to do this interview with you today. My mom sings your praises, who is Luann Worthy with Rock and Book Reviews, and she sings your praises as a publicist. So we're looking forward to hearing from you and hearing about you. So why don't you go ahead and share a little bit about yourself?
Well, thank you very much for inviting me to participate in this little interview here. My name's Scott Lorenz. I'm a book publicist, and so I work with authors all over the country, actually all over the world, mostly U.S. based, and we try to get them all the publicity they deserve and more. That's our motto. And most authors deserve publicity, but they're not getting it, and it's tougher now today to get PR and to get coverage, but good PR can launch an author and a book into the stratosphere and make them famous. There's no question. And so anyway, but I've been at this for over 25 years. I'm promoting doctors, lawyers, authors, entrepreneurs, all types of things. And I have a special knack for working with authors and the promotion of their books. So that's my specialty. So.
Very good. I like hearing PR. PR is right up my alley. That's what I graduated college with.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. PR is very important. So I like to hear that.
It is, and it's the reason PR is so valuable is because it's more cost effective than paid advertising. It's less costly. You can buy a business card size ad in the New York Times for about $10,000, and that'll run in the Sunday edition. And I mean, just think about that: a business card size ad for $10,000, and it's just buried in the New York Times. Great publication, and it's a great section to be in. But I have had authors that have insisted on buying those ads, and then they don't get any phone calls or any kind of orders from it. So it's more cost effective to spend money in PR and than it is in advertising. And most authors can't afford a $10,000 ad in a New York Times, especially one that doesn't do anything for them.
Right. Most people can't, no matter where you're at when you're.
Yeah, and in your independent businesses, an author is an independent business person, and you've got to do all the free stuff that you possibly can.
Right.
And PR is in that category of free stuff, although and some of this stuff you can do yourself, but a lot of times you need to have somebody like myself that has some contacts and understanding of how the market works to be retained to help do the introductions and make things happen.
So that brings me around to what special events or what's happened in your life in your earlier years to want to even bring you around to what you're doing right now. What brought you to this?
Well, I've always liked special events and activities and so forth. When I was in college, I was a director of student activities at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. We played Utah a few times.
My hometown. I like Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Born and raised.
You were?
I was.
Oh, okay. And I went to UNLV, graduated there a long time ago, and I was actually contacted by a TV host because I was on TV quite a lot with promoting the various activities at the university. We brought in like Vincent Bugliosi, David Frost, Leonard Nimoy, a whole bunch of people like this, and we had a lot of fun. And then we would promote them on TV and so forth. Anyway, this host got a hold of me and said, I want you to promote my client's book. I go, never had a book before. I was 20 years old. It's called Howard Hughes, The Hidden Years. And it was the book that was written by one of Howard Hughes's aides that broke it all loose and told everybody about what kind of person Howard Hughes was, the recluse, the person that lived in the cave, so to speak, and so forth. So that was his aide that wrote the book, and I promoted that. That was my first book, and that was in college. So 1977.
Ooh. Throwing it out there, throwing those dates.
Throwing it out there. So I've been promoting all kinds of books ever since, really, and I enjoy books. I'm an avid book reader, always have been. Good. And I've read books that I've never have read had I not been a book publicist, which is wonderful because it has expanded my horizons, and it's made me more aware of all the different viewpoints and genres. And I mean, I wasn't a romance reader. I read them. I've read a few, and
Yeah, you're admitting.
you know, not my thing, but
way to get in touch with all parts of your size.
yeah, right. But I promote a lot of autobiographies, memoirs, business books, many types of books, really.
So your company is multifaceted. So what tell us a little bit about what are all the occupations? What do you got going on inside of your company? You don't just do books, right?
Oh, no, I do. I promote doctors, lawyers, authors, entrepreneurs. I was just contacted by a fellow I worked with while he was at the University of Michigan. He had a startup I promoted for him. He's got a new startup today. He's getting going. So, and that has to do with an iPhone app. I promote iPhone apps. I've got promoted one iPhone app called the Horse Races Now, which allows people to bet on, it actually allows them to view horse races from 50 different racetracks around the country.
Wow.
And get statistics and so forth. So if you're working on the Preakness or the Belmont Stakes, which is coming up next, you can research the horses on this app. And at some point in the near future, it'll be a betting app. So I promoted that. I arranged for an introduction with Kevin Harrington, who was the original shark on Shark Tank. We just put a press release out last week about that, where we are, where he's initiated a partnership with my client.
Wow.
So, but it's something I pitched. So, and just today I got a notice from an agent I'm working with, and one of my clients. I pitched the agent on a client's book. Actually, there was no book. There was a movie. It's coming out in the fall, and I pitched him this agent on a book that's not been written and a movie that's not released. So we just got word today that is a done deal, and I can't tell you about it. It's not public yet, but it'll be. It's a book that's up for serious consideration. It's a movie that's up for serious consideration for the Academy Awards. So, but it's funny because there was no book. So I said, "How about we write a book?" Hey, great idea. So anyway, that's all I'll have. But it's a cool story when I can tell it eventually here.
Well, then maybe we'll get one of the first dubs of getting you when you get to actually tell them.
Yes. But most of the time, though, I work on pitching my clients to the media, TV, radio, newspaper, magazines. That's what I focus on.
Yeah.
You know, all kinds of books. A cookbook. You know, I'm working. I was pitching Rachel Ray, producer, about a month ago in New York, about a cookbook author, and he says, "Yeah, this is great." But before they go on Rachel Ray show, they want to see how this author does on local TV.
Okay.
So, if you want to play at the World Series at Yankee Stadium, you need to play Little League Baseball first, and that is in the smaller markets. So as an author, it's important to get that local TV, local radio, local newspaper. Not that you can't shoot or shouldn't shoot for the big stuff, but it's important to get those other things in your portfolio. So when the media goes to your website, they see, she was on, local, Fox News or local NBC radio or whatever. It's important.
You know your stuff.
Well, that's what I do. That's what I do.
You're good. That's really good. Okay, so if an author is searching for a book marketer, what qualifications? I mean, you've given me a pretty good round of how you qualify to do that. But what do you look for? I mean, what should they be looking at?
Well, I think there's experience. You got to have experience doing this. There are people that leave the media to go into promotion and marketing, and then they get out because it's not journalism they're into. It's what we do is sales.
Right.
Okay. So I'm a salesperson first. Okay. Before I'm a publicist. So I'm selling my client to the media.
Right.
So I put the best possible spin on my client's book, invention, iPhone, whatever it is. And that's sales. It's not journalism.
Right.
So that's my specialty. It's my innate ability, thankfully, and that's what I do. So it's a sales job.
That and your contacts, right?
So you got to be able to sell, and you got to have some good contacts. But even if you have good contacts, you still have to have a good story.
Right.
So you could have the best contacts in the world, but they're not going to put your author on if the author, it doesn't have a good story to tell himself or herself. If the book is poorly written, or if it's not in great shape, or is a boring speaker. I mean, you've got to be entertaining, because we're in the. I mean, I don't care what you're selling, you have to be entertaining.
Yep. You are completely right. You are right. Okay, so what do you think then? I guess that probably would lead you into what one of the largest challenges are for getting a book promoted.
The largest challenge, I mean, there's so many challenges. First of all, nobody answers their phone anymore. Nobody, it's all on voicemail.
Boy, I know.
Emails go to the hinterlands. So we're using, I've used a number of different techniques to reach people besides texting.
Texting is about,
You got to have, it's hard to get cell phone numbers. We have a lot of those. But you can't bug people at the wrong time. You have to really be on. If you're going to be talking to people on their cell phone, you got to really have the right pitch, the right angle, and the right story. Okay, and we use Facebook. I mean, to communicate back and forth. It's like we're on all platforms all the time. This is what's going on right now in this world.
Right.
It's all platforms all the time. So
how does Twitter and those work for you? The social media.
With Twitter, we use direct messaging on Twitter. I've got about 25,000 followers on Twitter. Mostly people are authors or publishers and agents, and also media people. So that's who I want to talk to, and so they'll reach out to me. I'll reach out to them, and so forth. But that's just what it's all platforms all the time. I mean, it's kind of hard to keep up with it all because there's just so much going on. There's a lot. I mean, my son says, "Hey, don't call me." He says, send him a message on through Messenger. And then my daughter says, "Hey, listen, it's better if you just text me." So I got to remember which one wants what when. So I send him everything. I send him an email, a text. They go, "Hey man, we can't manage all these platforms." I go, "This is what I do for a living. You ought to be able to figure it out."
One of them. Just choose one and respond.
Get one, pick one, and do it.
Just pick one and respond.
Yeah. So, and the media is inundated now with people contacting them.
Yeah.
So they don't. I shouldn't say all of them, but man, they're not even reading their email. Okay.
It's true.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So we're having everybody, it's tough. It's really tough. So especially when you're trying to pitch a book, and there are a lot of books. There's hundreds of books published every week, if not thousands, depends on which number you want to believe. But there's a lot of books coming out. So the fact that you have a book is not like, oh wow, this guy's got a book.
Right.
It's not like
you
this guy's got a pile of gold in his hand. How does he fit it all in his hand? It's not like that. It's not as novel an idea as it was. Okay, but it's still the best way to become an expert in something and to demonstrate your expertise. And it's also the best way to giving the media a reason to write about you right now. Because otherwise, why would the media write about you right now?
Sure.
They ask me, why you? Why this guy? Why your guy? Why your client? And why now? You have to answer that question. I do, and authors do as well.
For the most part? What's a good answer to that question?
Well, it's why is it relevant? Okay, so I had a client that's wrote a book about in vitro fertilization, and just a few weeks ago, Nancy Kerrigan came out and on national TV when she was doing Dancing with the Stars. She came out with the fact that she had several miscarriages, and she had all her children were born through in vitro fertilization. Well, my client's book is about that, so guess what? I led with, Nancy Kerrigan's in the news, in vitro fertilization's in the news. It's not in the news today, but it was back then. It was perfect timing. Right. And we got some interest from the media because of it. Okay. So you tie into breaking news or interesting news. So that's why now this person's got a book about this topic, and it's in the news right now. And why this person? Because this person's written the only book on in vitro fertilization. It's called One Mother's Journey. And it's a terrific book, and it's about her journey in dealing with in vitro fertilization and creating her own family the same way. So,
Oh, but that went well.
so that's tying it in. That's tying in something in the news with that's relevant.
Okay, well, so that's actually really cool. That means you stay really on top of what's going on in the world as a whole. That means
We have to.
Your plan.
And I also ask my clients to stay on top of things too, because they're following their subject area, and the best relationship I can have with a client is if they are telling me what's going on. In fact, actually, my client mentioned it to me that the Nancy Kerrigan story was just breaking, like, on the Today Show or that moment. So we were right on it right away.
Perfect timing.
Yeah, it was good timing. And then to go back just a bit, your other question you had on your that you asked me about, how do you select a person,
yes.
a publicist? It's important that people have testimonials. Okay. And I've got a lot of testimonials on my website from all types of authors, and they talk about why, what the relationship was like and what we did for them. And, over time you get quite a few of those, and we have quite a few. So if you're looking for somebody, you need to find somebody that has a good track record, because there will be people that set up a shingle and call themselves a book marketer or a publicist or whatever, and they're not. They're just not.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of good people out there. Now, I have not met them all, but I've met a few, and there's a number of great people in this field, and we're of kindred spirits, so we kind of all get along together, I'd say, pretty well.
So do you have employees, and are people that work with you contracted with you? Contract.
Okay. I pride myself in not having any employees.
Okay.
And we are distributed, so we have people all over the country doing different things that are experts in different things. So I'm finding the people that are the best at, like, I'll get a medical book. Well, I've got a great medical writer that will create terrific press material for a medical related, somebody who's got a degree in biochemistry or something. That person's going to know more about that field just because they spent 4 years or 6 years in college studying it than, somebody else off the street who's just good at writing, let's say. So we try to, get the right people at the right place at the right time, doing whatever we need to have done. So, so that's one of the things, and that allows us to keep our prices very competitive. And as you can see, this is my home office.
Right.
And we don't have giant overhead, and don't need to.
No, not today's day and age.
No, not at all. But 20 years ago when I started doing this, people are going, "You're working from your house?" Yeah, you got this cable internet.
You set the trend.
It's like, how does that work?
Trendsetter.
Well, let me tell you how it works. And actually, the news media did it first. I knew people that did it were writing at home and working from their home from the free press. And I said, you got to be kidding me. This was like years before I even did it. It was just so cool at the time. So I said, man, I've got to do that. So that's what we do.
You've done it well.
Yeah, so far so good.
You are doing well. Okay, well, we'll wrap this up by, I want you to just explain to me a little bit about pyro marketing.
Yeah, pyro marketing is is a book written called Pyro Marketing, and the book is about what was the method that was used to promote Rick Warren's book, The Purpose-Driven Life. Okay, which was an all-time bestseller, as you probably well know, and that is the concept is you market to individual groups. Let's look at it this way. Pyro means a match or a flame or whatever. So if you were trying to start a fire in your backyard in a campfire or whatever, and you had one match, or would you try to light the oak log on fire? Nope. Or would you do the kindling first and the little fuzzy stuff and get the kindling going, and then you put a bigger stick on, another stick. Okay, that's the concept of pyro marketing. You don't go after the Today Show with your match, with your book right out of the gate. You get people going and interested in your book in smaller markets, smaller pockets, book club, church, your service clubs, wherever you can, where people who are most likely to be most interested in your book. And then from there, you build on until you have like this raging fire, so to speak. But the concept is that you are starting with the most likely people, the driest tinder, as they say in the book, to to interest people in your book. So it makes so much sense. And so that's the philosophy we use as best we can. So how does that translate to an author? Well, you start in your hometown. You don't try to go for the New York Times right out of the gate. You start in your hometown. You talk to your hometown newspaper, your radio stations, and so forth, because they're the people most interested in local authors. Okay, you go 75 miles away, they're not as interested. You stay local, they're interested, and then you can take that article then and then send it to somebody else at a bigger publication, or a link, email it to somebody, an email to another publication, or or a reviewer, or whoever you're trying to get interested. Because it's sort of like, it's like this. If you were on Oprah, would anybody need to go, wow, I wonder if that person's any good or not? Well, no, because Oprah,
she's only going to bring on.
She vetted you.
Right.
She vetted you. So if you're good enough for Oprah, you're going to be good enough for, whatever other TV radio station is going on. So, and I only use that up because people use, believe it or not, some people still say, get me on Oprah. And it's like, she's not really on the air every day anymore, but but it's still an example they understand.
Right.
So.
Right. It's like saying Dr. Phil or any of the rest of them, Dr. Oz. Yeah,
and those are great shows. You have a lot of people trying to get on those shows, and we talk to the producers of those shows, and sometimes it's tough. I don't care what anybody says. It's tough because there's a lot of people trying to get on those shows. So.
Well, I sure appreciate your time. I know you are a busy man, and we have appreciated all the information that you have given us, and I look forward to doing more with you. And hey, if we can have like that little market there as far as when you get to launch that new surprise that's got
that's going to be fun. I'll tell you what, that book will be the movie's already under serious consideration for an Academy Awards. Wow. And some of the early talk is that it's all very good. So who knows, it's a fickle world. Right. People, you don't know what's going to work. And this is one of the things that is one of the issues with every publishing house. They don't know what's going to take off. If they did, they would only publish bestsellers. Right. They wouldn't publish 50 books and then two of
bestsellers going to be.
They don't know. Nobody knows, and I don't know either. And I wish I did, but I don't. We just have to. We do all the things that you need to do to get attention, to catch people's attention, and sometimes things really catch on or catch fire. An example of pyro marketing. So.
Well, I appreciate visiting with you. It has been
nice talking to you.
To know you. Thanks for your time, and we look forward to talking to you again real soon.
All right.
All right. Here. Thanks so much, Scott.
Thank you.
Bye. Okay. Can you still hear me?
I can.
I think I'm recording. I think I've disappeared my face, but
it says recording still. Here, let me see if it's.
Let me see. Hold on. Let me see if I end the meeting. If I end the meeting, I think it's going to get us all out of here. Hold on.